the Soul to Scene podcast. I'm Andy Cooper from RMS Motoring, and I'm joined today by Gary Riley.
Hello.
And Ross Annett.
What's happening?
We're on to episode 30 after a short hiatus.
I can't believe it's episode 30.
I know.
I've done about 24 of them.
But we should have done like 300, but not that organised, and maybe don't have enough that drivel to talk about anyway. But maybe an interesting show this time because we actually have some of your questions to answer, which is some really good ones from the forum. But before we get there, done a few things since we were last on. First of all, Titanic Dubs was fantastic. Were you there, Ross?
I was, yeah. Didn't exhibit at this year. Just wanted to go as a paying walk-in guest, and it was fantastic to just go and do.
So Club GTI that run Dubshed and Deutsch Collective at the very last minute had to cancel their Deutsch Collective event because I think the place was waterlogged.
Yeah, it was Scarva and just too much rain and that big slippery field.
Too much rain in Scarva, so just on a 2p spun up a new show, back to Titanic Dubs, which they ran before, and they organised it within 2 or 3 weeks.
Yeah.
and it was great. Now,
it was.
It had slipped into October, which is prime Sorn o'clock. So I think that maybe hurt them with attendance, but it was still really busy. There were still some great cars at it, and we're still really relaxed and got a good chat with people. I don't know if I saw you there, did I?
No, I didn't arrive down. It was, I'm going to say it was about 2:30. I was late.
I was maybe long gone by then, but great day out, and they've done some work down the Titanic Quarter as well. Have you seen it, Gary, the work they've done with the distillery and all that sort of carrying on?
No, I've heard of it going on. Haven't been down that direction in a long time. I'm actually just, as you're sitting there chatting about this, I'm thinking I've never been to Titanic Dubs. The last time I was in Titanic for a car show was like way back when we were doing 100% modified or stuff like that there. I remember we used to take
Belfast and Furious, do you remember that one?
Oh, yeah. King's
That's
Falls.
back when it was the Odyssey. It wasn't even the SSC or anything.
Yeah.
But yeah, I really must get down. I couldn't go this year for various reasons, but
sure, maybe
I will get down.
Maybe next year we'll bring the microphones with us. We'll have to go to one of their events and gate crash. Can't have
Set
these
up a little
radioed
tent
ones
somewhere.
taking over all these shows, you know.
As they always do.
Shout out to them. But that was a great day out. What else have I been up to? I have been in a G81 M3.
Ooh.
And I'm hoping to get out and do a bit of filming with one tomorrow, all being well, and throw a video together.
Is that your first time out in one of the new M3s?
First time driving.
Wow.
Yes. Yeah. So they are very impressive.
They're frighteningly quick.
Very impressive. Like taking that engine, that S55 twin turbo straight six in your car, Gary, and it's
boosted a little bit.
Yeah, boosted and allegedly a stronger engine. Like they're talking about that these cars can not that this car's going to be tuned, but you see some of them that they are 1,000+ brake tunable, in a very straightforward way. Just flash some turbos on it, plug it in.
And by all accounts too, that G80 model, whether it's the Estate or the Saloon, the X-Drive seems to be getting like brilliant reviews.
Yeah.
You know.
But very heavy.
Yeah.
So
not far off 2 tons, would it be?
1740, 1750 k's I have in my head.
Without fluids.
And I'm not sure.
Yeah, isn't there something weird that BMW weigh the cars dry?
They're all different. There's no kind of standard. I think someone would weigh them dry and some weigh them with a driver and fluids and everything in it. It's hard to know.
Whereas I think your M4 is what, 1600?
It's not light either, but
it's still
they're not getting lighter. Put it again.
Considerably lighter than the new cars, but it's amazing just the way that they can mask their weight.
But you kind of know. Look at the new one. You look at a Saloon now, an M3, and it's easily the size of what a 5 Series was 5 years ago, 6 years ago.
Well,
chunky big cars.
It's park new M3 beside an E39 M5.
Yeah.
They're roughly the same
or
dimensions.
E32 7 Series, probably not far off.
Exactly. And interior space and all the rest too. Like they're a much bigger car.
They're a big car.
You know, you take your E46 and then it's tiny compared.
Tiny beside it.
Yeah, but so I'm looking forward to get back into that. I don't really have much time at the moment to do videos, nor that I was getting anyway good at them anyway. But they're actually quite good crack to do, apart from the fact they take a huge amount of time, which is just have to do. But I was actually offered it started with Ryan Donnelly offered GR86, and I was like, I would love to get a drive in GR86, and then he sold it, unsurprisingly, and he said, well, look, with the G81 M3 Touring here, in that beautiful
that purple,
oh, it's absolutely, it's just stunning.
He's got some nice motors in.
Yeah, well, so it's great to have him on board now as a sponsor on RMS. He has fantastic stock. He has a lovely Peter K GT4 as well, along with a pile of other lovely stuff. But yeah, the M3, it's something else, and a long roof, a wagon, station wagon, whatever you want to call it,
touring or whatever. Yeah, they're really nice. I think the shape-wise have knocked it out of the park.
They
really
definitely have.
You know, and it's good to finally see an RS4 have a bit of competition.
Not to give all my editorial away, but that long back, you know, kind of does distract you from the snout.
The snout thing's kind of gone away a little bit, hasn't it?
It grows on you, you know, and that's what I said. We're at the point now where I honestly, when I see them, especially the Isle of Man green saloons, I love the look of the new
That's
M3.
a fantastic green.
And that colour is amazing.
Isle of Man green, and I'm not a green fan, but Isle of Man green,
Yeah,
wow,
it's fantastic. I have seen some of them have got, like, it's the M4 style, or sorry, the CSL style grills in it. So they do away with BMW's grills and put in this more of a bigger, thicker honeycomb thing, and it looks really good. So it does.
Now the M4 CSL, does it not have daft like Cavalier SRI go faster stripes around it and stuff like that?
It does.
I think it does as well.
Put over to her.
Yeah, which, you know, I don't think that's not a pretty car at all. You think of, again, harken back to the E46 CSL was a beautifully resolved
Gorgeous
design,
car.
whereas the this.
Are you thinking about the?
Oh, no, you're thinking of the CSL,
Batmobile,
the
CSL
type thing?
Like the original?
Oh no, I'm talking the original's beautiful, but the E46 CSL is a lovely car too, because E46 was just a classic out of the box.
It was a classic shape.
But with that, was it a carbon fibre boot lid and stuff like that on it, and you know, and just those wee details, it was so subtle.
Well, it just took the E46, I think, and accentuated. What was there, you know, it made the spoiler a little bigger with the
ducktail,
kind of ducktail
flock dash and the
splitter in the front.
fixed buckets, and
but there was nothing wild about it.
No, but you look at that new M4 CSL with all these bits of red electrical tape around it. You know, it just doesn't do.
But the problem is
anything.
they're trying to compete with the RS Porsches, and they are now getting wilder looking. You know, spoilers are getting higher, bigger. Your vents stuck in the wings, all that there. So.
Do you know what I was thinking about that? I was reading I'm behind a Mevo magazine, so I was trying to catch up there, and I think it was one of the M cars. It was the what was the GTS? What was that? The orange
E92 M3. Yeah,
E92 M3.
That was the GTS. Was like a competition model, limited run.
There is someone lurking about in RMS, I think, has access
Yes,
to one
there
of them.
is.
We all know it.
Awesome car.
Knowingly know it there, but
they were seen as really expensive at the time, and I think people wrote them off, but they didn't do enough different from the E92.
Yeah,
but now the car prices have gone up to the insane. They seem at good value. That makes sense.
I can't remember who was writing about it. It was maybe Jethro, and what he was saying was that there's only a second to Porsche Motorsport. The only other division in a regular car manufacturer that could hold a candle to them is probably BMW M.
Yeah,
you know, in terms of engine quality and race bred dynamics and all that sort of stuff.
And the AMG, it did loads of stuff, but they were always kind of more about big engines than the kind of polished finesse of dynamics and suspensions and all that there. But
totally.
M and Porsche are the two I say would set the cars up properly.
I would 100% agree on you. We'll get on to our listener questions later on about faster, bigger cars versus smaller, lightweight cars and what we prefer. And having the C63, it is a bit more of an uncouth. It's sliding towards the muscle car side of things. But anyway, I digress. As what is our right here to do on the podcast? So the M3 long roof station wagon, estate car, dog carrier, whatever you want to call it. I'm looking forward to getting out again tomorrow. It's a Titanic Dubs, as I was saying. got my Lotus back.
Got your Lotus back? Yeah.
Got my Lotus back after it was on hiatus as well because it was getting loads of stuff. TPMS sensors all around. It needed TPMS brain. It needed a new wiper motor. I think the brain's built into it, and software update because I think it's the way all these modules are built now. They're all the systems are done whenever all the software's in the ECU, which is why before, if you replaced a module in your car and your car has flipping 25 modules or whatever else, that a module would fix the issue, whereas now it's all in the brain. And but it also means that instead of all these different value and all these different OEMs supplying the manufacturer will sort their wipers and all the rest. Yeah. It's down to the manufacturer to sort it themselves.
You've probably less points of failure, but then you've got a single point of failure.
Exactly.
So
they can. I think there's Andrew Cowan. He has a Jag. I think it's F-Type or FPS. One of those ones there. And
two slightly different cars. One's an SUV and one's a coupe, Ross.
No, sorry, it's.
Shouldn't give me so much coffee, Gary. I'm just
an F something.
It's an F makes me angry.
Actually, it is F something that's fucked up at the minute because it's been off the road since he's had it. But he dropped something into the group chat there, and the wiper motor, something wrong with that there. He was taking it home, wipers weren't working, and the quote to get it fixed because the brain had to be changed had to. So it was like $2,500 for a set of wipers.
Okay, straight away I'd say Rain-X.
Yeah,
fuck the wipers.
Yeah.
Speaking of Rain-X, that you didn't watch Harry's Garage, and he was over here in Northern Ireland in his V12 Jag.
I
didn't watch it, but I saw there was a write up about him coming over. Red Jagger was it?
No, it's a green one, but
I think it was as
70s
photo of him in his
V12.
Lamborghini. Yes, yeah. I think he got the Lamborghini back to you. It was red. But
so he did a rip up
North Coast and stuff. Didn't
he came over on the ferry to Kinround to Belfast, up around the North Coast into Donegal, and then actually back through some of the roads mentioned on RMS because there's a big RMS thread about look where he was, but his wipers gave up. But that's what he just Rain-X'd his way home. You know, which is but here. There's maybe better products in the market, Ross. I don't know.
There definitely is, and cheaper from a local supplier.
Oh, I would doubt it.
Rain-A.
So anyway, Lotus is back after getting that. I got some other stuff done.
Is that taken? You know, when you got the Lotus, we were obviously hoping that with the new Lotus and the new shape and the new manufacturer and new everything else, that the old Lotus problems of is it? Are we going to be lucky here? Is it going to work or is it not? Is this wee niggle, is that all it is, Andy? Or is it taking a wee bit of the shine off it for you? Or has it made you trepidatious about things that, you know, that it might, you know, is this the start of it footering about?
I would have thought, before you answer, knowing Andy, it's something you just accept. It's a Lotus. You expect something will break.
So here's my thoughts on Lotus and reliability. So I've had starting with my Evora, which was a 2009 car, back in the Danny Baja era of Lotus. Lotus didn't have a lot of money, and he was spending it left, right, and centre on nonsense. Meanwhile, they put the Evora out. It had little niggles, but then it had fit and finish issues and bits and pieces. But in general, it was lovely because it felt really special and it drove superbly. That's what really attracted me to it. So fast forward to my 2016 Exige, that car, and it was still in the old era of Lotus, but the fit and finish in that car was excellent. I think I did have, it needed a lock set under warranty, was probably one of the things it had, but like the lock set, so like out of a flipping, I don't know, it's like out of an Austin Marine or something like that there, you know, so it's 10p to replace, and it's fairly straightforward. I think that was maybe that in my 3 years of ownership is all it needed, but it was, not only was it otherwise flawless, but it was a tight car, you know,
but like its owner.
And I felt that I never felt like it would let me down, you know. And the Evora before that, I thought, oh, maybe there could be some electrical niggles or something like that, because they had put a lot of different tech into it at that stage. So I think Lotus had peaked actually before modern times, and it's now in the same murky world of one brain, loads of infotainment. I don't think that you would have any more issues with a new Volvo or a BM or something like
Anything.
that because I think that, unfortunately, as we were talking about before we started the show, Gary, even you're saying your new ID4 was a pump issue or something like that.
Yeah, like, I think the brand does matter nowadays. They all just feel, Audis, BMWs, Mercedes, doesn't matter what it is. Even the big names are as prone to failures, mortality claims as anything that Lotus might make or smaller manufacturer.
Now let's JLR accept it here and some absolute disasters. Now, and on the flip side, like my Yaris, just a pretty flawless out the door,
bulletproof.
So has it put me off the car? It was interesting. It's one of those things you don't see the car for a couple of weeks and you're waiting for parts and all the rest, and then it was still in the summertime. And it was funny. I was away on holiday, and Charleshurst had their cars and coffee. And my car was there because it was sitting outside Lotus waiting for parts. And guys were saying, I saw the car. And I was like, fuck, yeah, I know.
Glad you did.
Yeah, I was full of, I was
Who was driving it?
1,000 miles away, But, I think you have to take these things in the fact that whatever you buy, you could have some small issues, especially with a new model like that. Was one of the.
Of course, that's one of the first ones out the door. Yeah,
it could be worse. It could be a McLaren.
Yeah,
it'll be away for God knows how long.
Now, I don't think that's fair to excuse the manufacturers. I think they should do better. I think they should just simply do better, like that. Especially the wiper issue. Like all the Lotuses come to that, and they knew that they had that issue. They just hadn't nailed it. It took them a long time to sort it out because I think it was software and hardware. So they were trying to get both parts sorted out.
I've said this before and I'll say it again. We're now in the over 100 years since the cars became mass production with wipers, wheels, engines. And fair enough, technology has moved on, but fundamentally, if it's not an EV and it's still a combustion engine, they're still using the same kind of things. And I just can't understand why all those mechanical gremlins haven't been done away with by now and perfected. Well, I think 100 years of engineering and development and testing techniques. It'll be absolutely bulletproof.
Well, and it's probably a million of reasons, like global supply chains, the requirement for loads of safety systems and all the rest. But I think probably peak reliability for a system that was just ECU runs the engine or engine and gearbox if it's an autobox or something like that, and then everything else is run separately, was probably a more reliable way and less autonomous. Systems was probably a lot more reliable than things are now. That's why you still see people. You look at the Bangernomics thread in Armagh. That's why you still see people driving old Saabs and stuff like that, because all that stuff, like a early 2000s Audi or something like that, far better built car than
pretty much bulletproof.
Yeah.
Plus, if they do break now, they know them inside out how to fix it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
do it in 30 seconds.
And that's another thing too. That generation of technology stuff was maybe rumbly through the early 90s. 10, 15 years later was just totally reliable. Also, the most reliable cars now were the crap cars of those. So a Kia in the late 90s.
Oh yeah,
was just the subject of ridicule. Fast forward to now, probably the most reliable cars.
And they're still running.
But you go and buy probably something Korean. It's probably going to be super reliable. The Chinese know how to make a car now. These
the Chinese Teslas. Pete said the same thing. Like his was one of the Chinese ones versus the American ones that were coming out around the same time. And he said in every way he found the Chinese one better. Or if in fact it's still off the road and he's just burst a tyre and doesn't want to have to put another stupidly big 21 or 22 inch rubber band tyre on it, because he is looking to get rid of it now. And that's actually an interesting story. I was talking to Pete yesterday. So we went around to Tesla and say, look, my time's up with the car. I want to see about, getting rid of it. You take it off me. And they were like, nobody's ever done this before. And he goes, what do you mean nobody's ever told you they don't want their Tesla anymore and they finished their payments on it, so take it back? And they're like, yeah, most people just go straight into it all. Can we interest you in this? He's like, no, just done with the car. And they said, we'll have to come back to you and let you know what we're doing this year. They literally didn't know what to do with him when he says.
For this.
Yeah. so they're so used to people just buying the next one or financing the next one, doing X, Y, and Z.
The Tesla salesman opening the door and there's a glasses guy covered in cobwebs. And he's how do you use this?
Yeah. I don't want to dwell on Tesla too much, but two things. So I was away on holiday. I read Musk's book.
Okay.
Well, the biography by Walter Isaacson. Doesn't matter what you think of Elon Musk. That book is an absolute roller coaster from him starting Zipcar, which was a precursor to Google Maps or something like that in the mid '90s, to X.com, PayPal, SpaceX, Tesla, Neuralink. Boring company. You know, the man doesn't, and buying Tesla or buying
Twitter,
buying Twitter and turning it into X. So that first of all, I absolutely highly recommend it, because it's just genius and madness and craziness, and the guy is completely mental.
Yeah.
But
there's a video of him sometime back in the 90s. It's on YouTube. This is pre-hair transplant. He actually looks older than he does now, but I think he just made a lot of money off PayPal, and he's taken delivery of a Pagani or something at his house in London. I don't know if you've seen this video.
He took a delivery of a McLaren F1, it wasn't that?
Or might have been that, but there was he had Pagani too at some point, but I can't, it's well since I watched the video, I can't remember exactly, but it was silver.
I think it was the McLaren.
Maybe it was a McLaren.
And I think he binned it.
Did he?
I think he binned it.
Atkinson style?
Going flat out in it, yeah. So, but yeah, I would highly recommend it. Sounds like a lot of maybe 500 and some pages. I bet you can get it in audiobook form. But Isaacson shadowed the guy for 2 years, met all his family. It's just an absolute crazy roller coaster. Like early SpaceX launches, he's out with the tin snips around the fairings around the edge of the rocket because it got damaged in transit, and they're out with hammers and screwdrivers and
Isaacson.
Just
duct tape.
Absolute madness, and eating through people, and buying the designs for the elite shape off Lotus and getting that car made and having to modify it and all to make the Tesla Roadster work. Just so much interest. The whole Twitter purchase, just absolute madness. His relationship with women, madness. The amount of kids he has, and all. Oh, what a story. The other side of one more mundane matters. Boring looking Model 3s are going to get slightly nicer looking so Project Highland, the new Model 3, is just been released the last couple of days on the Tesla website. $39,995 and deliveries in January.
The 310 mile range one and the 370, 380, something like that.
Yeah.
I was on the website, I haven't nosy at it, but
which is interesting, because apparently it is exactly the same battery and drivetrain as the outgoing car, but completely redesigned in terms of
it's aerodynamics or something.
Yeah, possibly aerodynamics, but completely redesigned inside, double glazing all around now in the Model 3. They've taken away the indicator stock, so they've now put it on the steering wheel.
Right.
And like haptic buttons. I'm sure that will be good.
Yeah.
I was reading on RMS actually earlier on today. The drive, there's no drive selector as well. So there used to be a drive selector, and it's now on the screen, and you swipe up or down for drive and reverse. But if the screen fails, there's an override button, but it is in the interior light above your head. so if you look above your head, it's like PRND.
Wow,
that's weird. Night Rider.
Exactly.
That's mad.
There's the one on screen there. That's the long range. So 0 to 60 in 4.2 seconds, 390 mile range.
It's definitely
and 50 grand.
It's definitely better looking than the
50 grand for that, or a Civic Type R FL5.
So back to the M3, because I love just jumping around. That's what we're here to do. You say, well, look, we can get on with the snout of the M3, and you know what? There's something about that. I remember when the previous generation Civic Type R came out, and I thought that's awful. Whereas now, and it's maybe an age thing too, I was like, I'm looking at it and go, that looks awful, but I still might like one. Maybe it's easier to say when I have absolutely no chance of owning one. Whereas I was seriously looking at them when I bought the Mark.
I really love that new model that's come out, the FL5. I've seen a couple on the road, and I knew they had wide arches, or flared arches at least, but you don't really see it in the photos. But on the road, like, it's just got such a
they're
great sound.
so stocky looking. Yeah. I saw one the other day in Belfast, and it was impressive.
Lovely.
Great I actually had a bit about it to speak about tonight. So this came up. I was reading the latest issue of Evo, 25 years of Evo. It's their 25th anniversary edition. And they were talking, obviously, about, kind of iconic cars over the last 25 years, and the Civic Type R came up in a few Type Rs, and I just was thinking how much the game has moved on in terms of power. So there was another article found online, a Civic Type R FL5, the new one, ring time, 7 minutes, 44.881 seconds. Now, the ring times pre-2019 were based on the slightly shorter track, so that time on air equates to 7 minutes, 39 seconds. So here's some of the things that they have actually beat using the Civic Type R. Bugatti Veyron, the original.
The original?
Did not beat that time around the ring. Murcielago LP640. Pagani Zonda S 7.3. The BMW M2 CS. The 997.1 Porsche 911 GT3.
Jesus.
And the C63S Coupe.
It's unbelievable.
So Type R Civic's faster than all of them.
Now, is that a standard road car, or have they changed? That's a standard road car.
Mm-hmm.
That's mad.
Holy shit.
Road tyres too, from what I remember.
That's unreal.
It just shows you how much the hot hatch game has come on.
That's great. Like, wow.
Speaking of Honda, so I think I'm an Evo behind you, Gary. And I was reading there was a supercar, or two Evos back. It was a supercar buyer's guide, because sure, what else would I be reading? Well, so that's why you buy Evo. You don't buy Evo for cars that you don't buy it to look at flipping
SUVs and stuff.
Mile munchers. So I think as part of that guide, there was something right up your strasse, which was the Honda NSX. And the Honda NSX, like it was the big thing, 4 or 5 years ago when Honda decided to bring it back.
The new one, the Mark II.
The new hybrid one, and then suddenly it's just, it almost feels like it never happened. I'm trying to think the last time I have seen one before.
I've never seen one on the road. I've seen one recently on a photo taken in Newry.
Okay.
That's the only one I've ever seen in Northern Ireland, and I've seen everything else. I've seen a Pagani on the road over here. I've seen, obviously Astons, Lambos, Ferraris. I see Ferraris every day because I'm at work. Never seen one of these. That would be like an eye-catching thing.
Yeah, so rare, but they haven't. I don't think, got under the skin of people like the original car.
For some reason, I don't know, is it the design? It's a good-looking car, and it's very, very fast. I remember watching reviews. Chris Harris had one out and quite liked it. Hybrids, well kitted out inside, but I feel like maybe same issue that plagued the original. It maybe does things too well, too reliable, too easy.
It has
kind of R8 kind of issue.
R8itis, exactly. That it's just too well refined, too well resolved, and that maybe takes away some of the character.
Yeah, which is a shame. But with that said, you go on piston heads and you can find them now for 80 grand, 70 grand. It's a lot of car for the money.
Now, a guy in RMS took me out in his around. I was going to say Mandello one time, and or some track somewhere. It was great, but long geared, a very long. It was the original car was a 3-litre V6, VTEC.
Well,
but
these
so
are
special.
590 brake or 580, something like that.
The new ones on about 3 seconds to 60, and probably a couple of ton top end, but. Yeah, speaking of Mandello, actually, I'm down at the trackdays.ie track day very shortly. Going to take the Lotus. We'll put some pictures of this NSX in the show notes. Gary's just showing us some pictures. Terrible to talk about something you can see, but they are a stunning looking
gorgeous
looking car.
Yeah. Although they feel a wee bit American.
I was just going to say very American looking from the rear.
Yeah,
built in America.
Oh, really?
Designed by the American arm of Honda.
Acura.
If I recall, they weren't done in Japan like the other ones. Jay Leno has, I forget her name, but she's the lead designer or something on the NSX program.
Oh,
he had her on. It's a really good episode. She talks about the design of it and how they tried to take some influence from the original but make it different.
Do you know what? America's not really known for designing. They are known for designing iconic cars, absolutely, but not maybe iconic supercars.
No, not svelte kind of Ferrari type cars, Musk cars. They're known for kind of Camaros and Mustangs and stuff like that,
Which really surprised me when I learned earlier on this year that Mazda of America designed the MX-5, which I was...
Did it?
Yeah.
There you go.
And yet you would know it as... Okay, it's a Miata, isn't it, in the States? But it's the Unos or whatever. It came out in Japan first. But so... really... random, yet we were just looking through NSXs now. The original one is just an original NSXR in championship white.
What is this travesty that we're looking at?
We're looking at a Mitsuoka Orochi. What's that?
I don't know. It looks like it should be put down at birth.
Right, we need to stop browsing the classifieds in the podcast because we will lose all 2 listeners that we have left. We used to have 3. You know, remember what happened? We lost that one, you know.
That was Rocco's fault.
That was Rocco's fault that time when he left. So, anyway, that is enough from me. Gary, we're going to the Classic Car Show. We're trying to get Ross to go with us in the NEC.
I think he needs to go. He needs to get his eyes opened.
It looks appealing, so it does.
Absolutely.
Should be.
Absolutely excellent.
It's a great weekend. Full weekend of cars. You have 2 days walking around the NEC. It's a massive place.
The auction's always bonkers, isn't it?
Like, what would you compare one hall in the NEC to? It's like Odyssey show times 2 or 3 times,
massive.
and there's 5 of them.
It's massive.
So you walk around the whole thing. The auction's brilliant. I was looking at the auction listing, actually. So the auction was Silverstone Auctions for the last few years. I don't know, is this a new company or they've just renamed? But they're now called Iconic Auctioneers. And I was just flicking through there, and here's some of the notable mentions of cars that are going to be for sale. So,
well, I always remember, was it, you know, it's the sort of auctions where RS 500s go for £500,000 and that sort of stuff.
Rare stuff and low mileage stuff, and maybe garage queens to a certain extent, but it's just amazing to see some of it. And if you're at the show, you can go and watch it live, but you can also follow the bidding online and see what some of these go for.
One of the best things is, now, I think you have to you have to buy the auction catalogue to get in, which grates a wee bit, but it keeps the numbers down in the auction paddock.
You swap hands and take turns.
But you can, well, no, we didn't say that. But if you,
all right, Lions.
But anyway, you can go in and actually see some of the stuff and get an eyeball it and see some really...
Okay, so it's all sitting out?
It's all sitting out in the auction hall, so it's awesome.
So they've huge listings of stuff. There's stuff from the 20s, 30s, 40s, real proper classic cars, but the stuff that we're kind of more into, the modern classics. Here's a couple of ones. So there's a Lancia Delta Evo 2, Esker Cosworth, a white one, with 400 miles, so pretty much delivery miles. Maybe drove up and down the driveway. Cleo Williams, original one, 48,000 miles in that. They have a Jaguar XE, Project 8, Lotus Esprit, Series 2, RS 500 Serra with 12,000 miles. That'll probably make good money. I think there's one of them last year, the year before, made over 100,000. One of the Serras. 800 brake Shelby Mustang Super Snake, which is quite a rare sight in UK roads, I would imagine. They've got an MG X-Power. Remember those?
They're like a big body kit special.
They
were cool.
Supercar thing.
Yeah.
Around
They were
Max Power.
V8, weren't they?
Do you know what? I think that MG China Limited have talked about bringing that X-Power brand back to... You know, because they're making quick MG4s now.
I have to say, like, that wee MG, the wee electric one with the like twin rear spoiler and everything. Yeah. I think they're a really, really good looking car.
Have you seen the MG electric roadster thing they're doing?
No.
Well, we'll look at that after Gary finishes taking us through the.
There's loads of our stuff. There's a Ford RS200 Evolution with 12 miles on the clock. Now, every time we go to a show, there's one kind of standout car in the Silverstone auctions that goes for big money, and I think that'll be the one.
That has to be the unicorn.
That'll be 500 grand minimum, if not $750,000. They've got an E36 M3 Evo Saloon, a green one, which used to belong to Mr. Jamiroquai, JK.
Oh, really?
Yep. Phase 1 Clio V6, Aston Martin Vanquish, which was the original press car from the Bond films back in the Pierce Brosnan era.
See.
And they've got Johnny Herbert's R33 GTR Skyline. Class. And that's only a handful of stuff. There's so much more, so it'll be really interesting to go and see some of that stuff in the flesh.
Look, it's one of those shows where you just... There'll be a lot of owners as well that will have their cars on the stand. There's lots of aftermarket. There's just lots of everything. I remember chatting to, the last time I was over, there was a stand with Supras on it. And I was chatting to it was Whiffbits, who do super parts and super tuning and stuff like that. And I was chatting to the guy for like half an hour. It's like, oh yeah, we put BMW DCT gearboxes.
I remember yes.
And, you know, and suddenly you get blown away by stuff like that. We were talking to the guy who sells the kits for the race cars. You ever see the race car Anstead built? And he sells the kits for those. I remember we were chatting to the guys that do the sadly we never did it, but the trips to Le Mans.
Yeah.
You know, and booking your camping and all the rest, and he takes you through the whole, you know, and really good salespeople, so get you all excited about other big trips. But see, when you're on a trip, it's like, well, it's like
it's the easiest time to sell you to,
you want to go on holiday again, you know.
Yeah, but that's part of the appeal of the show, and no disrespect to local shows. Local shows are fantastic, and we try and go to as many as we can, but they go once a year over to this, and to kind of you see some of the stuff you would never see over here. Some of the really rare low mileage cars that maybe only 4 or 5 left in existence, and obviously all the stands and things that you don't get over here too. So it's a really worthwhile trip and good crack too for a weekend. So we'll try and get plenty of pictures and get them up in the thread, and hopefully there'll be a few RMSers at it.
I think there will be, and like Birmingham's dead handy, and
okay, it could be easier to fly handy.
Yeah. So no, I'm looking forward to it, and maybe a nice curry, Gary, on the Saturday night.
Of course, so ours on Sunday.
If you're lucky.
What about the curry? Do you know something? Maybe I don't want to go have with you two boys.
Okay, safety in numbers.
So, so looking forward to getting away.
Yeah, I haven't much else in my notes tonight apart from the. I'm sure you've heard in the news the petrol and diesel ban. Mr. Rishi has been very kindly pushed it back 5 years from 2030 to 2035. Not that I think it'll make much of a difference because obviously the development plans that manufacturers use are way in advance. You know, so whatever they've done now is based in 2030, and it's probably written in stone by this stage.
Totally, it is just the way things are going to be. But then there's some manufacturers holding on to it as a real, interesting one that they're just, I think they have released an EV. I can't for life from them remember it because it's pretty forgettable. But it hasn't been that great. But they've just been pushing hybrid, and really that's what they've been selling. And maybe they're just waiting for the technology to be right.
So they're sitting in the middle. Yeah. So I think most of us will welcome it being pushed back, but at the same time you kind of go, do they know what they're doing?
Do they know what they're doing?
Have they ever?
Do they know what day it is?
Do the politicians know what they're doing?
No.
Especially here. But anyway, so interesting. Yeah, so I actually have to put it, speaking of the AMG Cyberster, which is their wee all-electric convertible, I think it looks absolutely...
Is that one you were chatting about, Ross?
Incredible.
It's very MX-5 looking, isn't it?
It's very MX-5, and we'll put a picture in the show notes, but yeah, MG are knocking it out of the park.
Is that a red spoke in the wheel, or is that the brake I'm looking at?
I have absolutely no idea.
Just like a red spoke in the wheel. But
Just a
didn't
little
Citroen
design.
do that with one of the wee DS3s or
Just a
something,
wee
didn't they?
design effect. Kind of.
Yeah, so...
Just something else nice for somebody to curb. And
like you look at that and you kind of go, that's what Tesla should be bringing out.
well, Tesla say they are going to bring out their new generation
for a
Roadster.
while, but
we're still waiting. Sure, it's like the...
they sent their only prototype into space.
that's right.
Well, that was the early car they sent into space, but yeah, we're still waiting for the Cybertruck. Waiting. So we'll see if and when that appears. I don't even know is it going to be made in right-hand drive?
Who knows?
We're the poor cousins over here. Do you know the original Twingo was never made in right-hand drive? That's a crying shame.
Yeah, I read that somewhere years ago. But you always see them in Spain and stuff in holiday, but you would never see them over here.
Yeah. So I think
the original ones.
Was it Sniff and Smith or someone was talking about that recently. Anyway, Ross, what's the crack with yourself?
Not a whole lot. I finally got my X5 through MOT.
That's good.
Again, I spoke about it before, the shit show that is trying to get the car booked, trying to do everything else. In the end, I used that MOT hub. No affiliation to them. I've used them 3 or 4 times, and they've been brilliant now, because it literally is you fire in your booking reference, you tell them when you would like your date at what centre, and within normally a couple of hours, if not quicker, they come back to you. So obviously they've got some sort of like an auction sniper, something that is basically watching for appointments coming free, and they basically get in there quick and straight away. So I had my MOT booked within 2 days of putting into MOT hub. That led to a slight dilemma because I've had tinted windows in every car I've had for the last 15, 16, 17 years. A mild smoke, nothing limo black, nothing that's wildly illegal, but obviously they're too dark for MOT testers. I've tried to black it before, and computer says no. That generally is the thing. So I kind of worked out I couldn't be fucking annoyed with the hassle of going up and picking off a wee bit of tint and doing whatever else. So again, Simon down at Pentagon has tinted most of my cars for as long as I've been driving them. So I sent him a message saying, look, I'm due for MOT on Friday. How awkward is it going to be to take these window tints off? And he was like, yeah, right. He tucks it in behind the rubbers. He does everything else. He then put an idea in my head. He says, what about getting a set of glass for the windows? He says, because if you can get a set of glass, I'll change them in less than 5 minutes. So I was like, right, okay, well, look, I'm intending to keep the X5 now for a couple of years.
I never thought it was that quick to change glass.
Neither did I.
Yeah.
But
Is it not door panel off?
I thought it was door panel off.
Or door card.
Yeah, I thought it was door card off.
Yeah.
So anyway, phone call to Bavarian, and the guys got me 2 panes of glass in. I picked it up on Friday morning, left Bavarian.
Sorry, how much is two?
So 2 panes of glass, after a bit of discount, was 300 quid.
You're committed. You really want the gangster tints.
Well, do you know something? There's a wee bit of method in my madness here, because
You don't have to see you when you drive past.
True.
That's my
Simon's got
number
a
one on
couple
my
of
list.
other customers with X5s as well. So you see where we're going here. So
Whole
Simon-
leasing scheme.
Absolutely. So Simon and I have got a wee deal between us now. So he's going to hold the clear glass, and if somebody needs it done, he charges them a nominal fee to remove their windows, to stick in my glass and put it back in. So I'll not be too long recouping the money back.
Can he put your rides in their car as well?
I would say the local constabulary, their tint machines are twitching at the thought of this.
But so anyway, picked it up on Friday morning, drove from Bavarian down to Pentagon, pulled up outside his yard. He took out 2 fucking weird plasticky things, popped them down the outside of the door, wiggled and shuffled a wee bit. I heard click, click. He put down the window, lifted out the pane of glass, dropped in the new pane of glass,
Clicked it in.
clicked it in no more than 2 to 3
You're
minutes.
joking me.
Jesus.
I had no idea.
I had no idea either. So I'm all legal. Got my MOT done through with no. Actually, there was something funny. So obviously you stick up your photograph, and the guys were like, "Oh, a bit of a braking balance there," but the MOT tester said to me, because my X5 has got this weird auto hold thing, they couldn't really get it played with, but they saw the brakes were okay and done the test and done what they needed to do. But I don't know the full ins and outs of it. But yeah, so
I wish I had known that window trick 7 months ago. I had to take mine off at the MOT centre.
nightmare.
Because I've never had tinted windows in my whole life. And I bought the M4, took it for the MOT, and there was a very, very slight tint in the windows. And I'll be quite honest, it barely even registered for me. I just thought it was standard. And the guy failed it on the tint. Well, he didn't fail it. He called me in. He says, take them off and I'll pass it. So I tore it off at the place.
And there's nothing worse. So did
No,
you get
it
all
was
the
a nightmare.
gummy? Yeah, all the
I got it
gummy
off for
residue.
some wee bit of residue down at the bottom, but I only took off the driver's door, or the driver's window and the passenger window, 2 front ones.
Yeah.
Left the
You're all
quarter
right
panel.
behind the B pillar. You're all good. Well,
Well,
look,
what is the limit? 30% or?
No, it's like 17%. Or no, it might be 30%, but most factory cars are coming up with 17 or 18% window tint already.
actually, you are where you are with it.
Interestingly, you're talking about the constabulary and that there. The armoured glass that they drive around in doesn't pass tint tests.
Passes the bullet test, though.
Pass the bullet test, though.
Well, look, I was going to Titanic Dubs, and I was in the Lotus actually, but I was behind a S204 earlier shaped than mine, C63. It had no tints, and it was absolutely class. And I was like, I didn't put tint on my Lotus because I wanted to see the engine.
Yep.
But it does make the inside of the car brighter, especially if it's a dark interior.
No doubt. No doubt about it.
100%. And I hope to God neither of you have the chameleon tint, or I would just
No.
immediately.
What's the chameleon tint, that reflective one?
I see that
what it
reflective.
looks
like in the front
People
windows.
do
The oil spill. That's what it looks
The
like.
oils. It is just.
It's always front windows.
Yeah.
But because
When
it's
did that
legal.
become a fad? Like, I've noticed
That's a
this
very
last year.
recent thing, isn't it?
Yeah, it's only in the last. But again,
Despise it.
it's so popular because it's legal. You can have the front windscreen tinted. That genuinely, you're making
That
cars.
is legal, is it?
That's completely, fully legal.
You're joking.
Our-
It looks
our-
gash. It
Our
looks terrible.
friend Brox and Evo have said that there in the forums and said as well. That's
It's a sunstrip for the 2020s.
It
completely
is.
legal.
Van Aiken and
Yeah.
full window.
But but the problem I found. Do you remember Remember you used to have like the fucking Renaults out there from years ago that had that weird solar attenuating windscreen out there. It was always that purpley colour in that there, and
Yeah,
people were
yeah.
going, that's gash looking. And now people are falling over themselves to get the maddest, bluest or reddest or oil slick look that they can get.
Line
I
definitely.
passed one day there, and it was a chrome effect almost.
Yeah.
It's just reflecting off it, and it was actually blinding. The sun was bouncing back off it.
It's awful. It's absolutely awful. And I don't know about the front window tints as well. I don't know if
us old men sitting here complaining.
If I can condone it. I tell you what's the worst thing about windows. So I have my first ever car with a heads-up display.
Yep.
Except on a bloody sunny day, I put my polarised sunglasses on and I can't see it. It's amazing. I was like, what?
Mm-hmm. How come?
The polarised...
Mine has it. That's no issue.
And
sunglasses or not.
Do you have polarised sunglasses?
Yes.
No. Well, my X5 has it, and I'm the same as you, Andy, with the polarised sunglasses on. See frig all.
They disappear, yeah. Because the polarisation cuts away the
cuts
display.
out the refraction of it, yeah.
It's not just your age.
Yeah. just put my glasses on, you see nothing.
The retina's getting a little bit farther back every time.
Just drive straight into a wall.
I've had no issues, honestly, and I have the head-up display on all the time.
Yeah.
Bizarre.
No, so I got the X5 through MOT, which I'm glad. Do you know something? It's the first car I've actually had myself in probably 14 or 15 years that I've had MOT. And I still love it. You know, I drove it. I drive my van most of the time, so I do. And I love driving my van. It's handy, it's comfortable, it's automatic. It really is the A to B machine for throwing all the stuff in the back of it.
Front ends.
You know it. Absolutely. But...
Not V8 Rumble.
Yeah. The V8 monster that it is. But again, even coming over tonight here in the X5 tonight, it's just... You forget how nice it is. It's probably a wee bit the same as you know, after having not driven the Lotus in so long to get back into it.
Yeah.
But where I haven't driven my X5 in, you know, a couple of weeks properly, and to you know, I was saying to Gary earlier on, I was doing a couple of deliveries earlier on, I was out round back roads of Lisburn out there, and again, it trundles along nicely. It's 400 horsepower. It's really nice driving again, and it's a car that I'm actually really comfortable just intend to keep it for another year or two. But
that's always been an issue when you commute daily and something that and you get so used to it, especially a quick car or something out there, and you sometimes need a week or a fortnight off from it.
Yeah,
to kind of readjust yourself.
Yeah.
Now on the flip side out there, I've been in tire kicking heaven the last few days because Mrs. Pimp was thinking about changing her car, and I had hers down at Bavarian. But when I was in there, you know, I said tire kicking, looking at different cars, and the new Range Rover Sport, as much as I hate to say it, it was really, really... I was in Charleshurst and hopped into one of them. Now, the only thing that is off-putting is the price on them is still ridiculous. So it was the one I was in yesterday.
I don't think they're going to get any cheaper.
They're not...
Wait a week.
Some stuff has dropped down a wee bit. But this Range Rover Sport was like 104, 105 grand.
Jesus.
Seats were gorgeous in it. It was a lovely thing. It was just... It's back to what my first Range Rover was. You know, it was lovely, and at that stage it was very luxurious. It was everything else. I think Range Rover, I'm not saying they lost their way for a couple of years, but the new sports are fantastic. Mm-hmm. Now at the same time, they had a really nice Defender in there that I just can't not like them. I think they're so nice. I forget I'm going to say it. So when I was in yesterday, and was it yesterday or the day before? So when you're in the showroom, they've got them sitting open, you open up the doors and the big beautiful TFT screen comes up and hello Gary, hello Andrew, you know, these were hello guests. So I'm sitting and playing around with it. So I registered my name.
Oh, here we go.
So,
here we go.
Yeah,
barred from every dealership in the country. Let's hear it.
So the
folks.
Range Rover one was Pimp Daddy was the Range Rover. The Land Rover Defender, the first one was Farmer Dan Big Balls. And then the last Defender, the V3-door one I was in was like Sheeps Are Beautiful. So I got out and done my walk around it, opened up the door, and as soon as you open it up, it was like, hello, Sheeps Are Beautiful.
Oh,
so
fantastic.
yeah, so it's in tire kicking heaven. But yeah, so there's, you know, some cars are beautiful out there. And as I was saying, where prices seem to be coming down a wee bit, and it's going to be interesting to see what happens before the end of the year. So a couple of episodes back, we have been talking about, I said my missus was looking to change and looking at an X5, and the price of a new X5 30D with, don't get me wrong, they come well enough spec anyway, so they do, but with no real extras, was coming at like £101,000
for like a 30D M Sport.
For a 30D M Sport, which was fucking ridiculous.
You couldn't lower yourself to an SE. It has to be in it.
They have sitting in Bavarian at the minute for 86.5 grand. One of their new top of the range X550Es, which are 500 something horsepower. They're hybrid. They're everything else. But you know, and this kind of thing I was saying to the sales guys, like, 2 months ago you were quoting me 100 grand for a 30D, and you've the top of the range, fully loaded 50E sitting here for 15 grand cheaper. Like, what the hell's going on? And he's like, prices are dropping, and BMW are helping get you back into the market here. So, remember we were talking a few episodes back about...
I don't think BMW are helping you back. I think BMW are going, oh my God, we have a lot of stock to shift.
Yeah. So they're heavily incentivizing you to get back into it.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I was chatting to another dealer recently who has some stock of EVs, and they were just saying that the price pressures on like 6-month-old EVs is frightening, and they've all taken a hit, and the dealerships are sweating, saying we've got a hole here.
It was BCA yesterday. There's 120 Tesla Model 3s or whatever they are, all the ones that are end of lease. Mm-hmm. Like there was 0 on there a year ago. Suddenly just flooded with them.
Now they're just absolutely flooding the market. Yeah, so it's definitely a buyer's market out there. If you're on the lookout for stuff, maybe a wee bit harder to sell stuff unless you're willing to drop your trousers a bit. But I suppose the market had to sort itself out at some stage.
It has to. It has to sort of settle itself one way or another. But
anyway, I think let's go to the listener questions. Some members of the forum had replied to the thread, Gary, you put up the other day. And the first question is from JH86, and he asks, a B-Road Antic style question, would you rather drive a good, honest, hot hatch, circa 200 horsepower flat out, using all the power all of the time, or the likes of your faster, bigger spec car C63? Is that a dig at me? And then he says M3/M4, which is definitely a dig at the rest of you. But that's okay, because we're thick-skinned.
Get the digs in there.
And here we like the digs. Keep them coming. We will deflect them as necessary. So he's saying, would you rather have a good, honest, hot hatch, 200 horse, flat out, using all the power, or the likes of your bigger, faster cars, C63, M3, M4, say at 50% on the same road? Swings and roundabout question, but might rustle a few feathers. Love the podcast, by the way. Thank you, Mr. 86. Well, I'll pick up that one first, because I went sort of in that exact swing. So I had the GR Yaris and then the C63. Which car would I rather have down a back road? That's a no-brainer, Yaris. Mm-hmm. Every day of the week. You can't use that the type of power and the delivery and the gearing and all the rest that the C63 has in the same way as you can the Yaris. You don't have as much fun because it's a holding back exercise. Mm-hmm. And the other thing is, with a bigger car, yeah, it might be faster in inverted commas in a straight line. It's also a lot heavier. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And it doesn't feel as responsive and all the rest. I had to do it because, as I've done 3 or 4 days this week, I picked up and dropped off the wee one, every morning and every evening. So I've used the back seat and put more stuff in the car and all that sort of stuff. So the Yaris just wouldn't have been up to it. Now, I probably should have, and I did look at the Megane RS300, and I was humming and hawing about Civic, and I probably should have went for the 5-door type of option. But really, if I'm lucky enough to have the Lotus, so I was getting in it tonight and I was thinking about this question, and the Lotus is a lot lighter than C63 and all the rest, and it just feels so much more agile and fun in your hands. So, look, totally, on a B road, you want your 200 horse hot hatch every day of the week. We were talking earlier about Civic Type R or something like that. Although they're maybe 300, they're getting very, very quick on those roads. You need to take a step down. You need to get out of the i30Ns and the Golf Rs and all their sets. Are nearly too quick. We need to take a step back to i20N, something with or Fiesta ST or something like that.
Something you can use 8/10.
Mini hot hatch kind of brigade.
Yeah. You can 8/10, 9/10.
Cabrera, mini, that kind of thing.
Yeah, small enough for a B road that you've road to move about on.
Yeah.
Whereas the bigger cars, you just don't. Look, that's 100%. My thought on it is the fun factor. Now, don't get me wrong, there is fun factor with having a monstrous V8, nearly 500 horse and rear-wheel drive and limited slip diff and all this. Absolutely, there's crack to be had there. But in this particular scenario, B-road blasting, 200 horse.
I agree 100% all day long. You need something that you can drive to 8 or 9 tenths without having to ring its neck. Without using all its power, without doing whatever, but you're driving to pretty much your limits and its limits.
Mm-hmm.
Without having that extra 50% squeeze, which could just send you into a whole world of bother. No, I'm with you on that. There's something you can drive well most of the way around it without having to rake through it, definitely.
Gary?
Totally agree. It's a no-brainer. My daily commute for the last 6 years has been kind of Hill Hall Road, up through Drumbill, Carryduff, so a mixture of B roads and even C roads, if you can call them that. And I've had a variety of cars over that time. I've had the 92 M3, I've had the M4 to have now, I've had a Civic Type R Championship, I've had a Golf R. The hatches were definitely more chuckable, more fun, more dynamic. You can push them more. So yeah, I think, in that isolated context, definitely I would say a hatch. There's days, even now I'm driving the M4 kind of on those roads and they're a bit bumpy and it's a bigger, slightly heavier car, and I'm thinking that'll be great to be in a VSST or something that gets and really wringing its neck. But out of that context, when you're driving on a variety of roads, I do think the M4 is a good all rounder. But if I was only ever going to be on back roads for the rest of my life, I would definitely buy a hatch.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think we've answered that. I think the answer is it's a fairly obvious one that we're. At the same time, I suppose it's one of those things too. We've had a lot of hot hatches, and you want to sample. You want to try other things. Like I wanted to have a V8. So I thought, well, I have a chance to have a V8 here. That's why, and I need an estate car. So 1 + 1 equals nearly 500.
C63.
And but do I miss the Yaris? Hell yes. It just doesn't. It doesn't suit my life. I could have made it suit my life.
Yeah, but
I didn't.
You're compromising then to do something that.
Yeah. So. So anyway, next question. Demurf asks the question, and it probably directed at me, but a noob guide to a Nürburgring trip would be fun to hear. So first of all, you guys need to go. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Are we?
I
was about to say I can't answer this question because I've never been, although I have planned to go once and did a lot of research, and thankfully there's a mountain of information on the internet. Piston heads plays like there. So many people go to it.
I'll stick a link in the show notes. I did write an article on this before. So yeah, I would highly recommend it to both of you. So you were on the cusp of going then, Gary, were you?
Oh, many times I've been on the cusp of going.
Yeah.
And fate has gotten away or intervened or I've chickened out or whatever. But
yeah, look, even to flying to is it Dublin to Frankfurt you can do or something like that, and then get a regular hire car to the ring and then hire a properly track prepped ring car is by far the easiest way to go. The other way to go, which I've also done, is go Belfast Cairnryan, drive from Cairnryan to Hull during the day, and then get the Hull Rotterdam ferry overnight.
Oh yeah,
and then it's about 3.5 hours from Rotterdam to the ring. That's if you want to bring your own car. Using your own car on the ring, I've done it. It is a very serious place, and there's insurance implications. I don't know if you are insured out there really, which could be some serious stuff.
That's
going
one
on.
of the other things. You see these horror videos where someone has a smash, and the ring is shut down for an hour. And it's terrifying, and that's.
Oh,
I hope it wouldn't be you, but it has happened to people, and none of them thought it would happen to them. So
I've seen accidents. I've seen someone's in RMS who've been nearly caught in some massive accidents, just being, because these things can just happen around you as well, and the liability there and all the rest. But at the same time, it's even as a place to visit, and the things you will see, you will see. Supercars and E28 M5s, and you will see all sorts of stuff being and some very capable drivers.
Stuff from over Europe, I'm sure, and further afield. Yeah,
totally. So it's a very there's an atmosphere about that place, and it is very, very special. The way to go to have a lot of fun and to drive on the track is to fly over, hire a car from one like RSR or. I can't remember the other place that I hired, but I'll put it in the show notes. I did a link, and those cars are fully insured, track prepped, and all the rest.
More peace of mind.
Yeah, you hop into them, and away you go.
What do you do over there if you drive over, and then you completely bin your car to the point where it's a write-off?
Well,
how do you get it home, or do you even get it home?
So, yeah, people can get cars delivered home. I suppose there's like if you have RAC cover,
does
or
that
something.
cover you?
Well, maybe maybe it would, or just get the car. People just get the car shipped, and it's it's extremely expensive. Or you get on the phone and say, right, come over with a car trailer, and I'll flip and throw you a lot of pound, and
just a complete handling, wouldn't it be?
Oh, yeah. But just
I suppose no risk, no gain if you don't go out there fun.
Yeah, well, but the risk is very high, which it makes me a bit hesitant talking about it, because I have done it many times. But certainly, the thought of just going out, hiring one of the track prepared Suzuki Swifts or something like that, or they do like 135i or something like that there, and you just
hand it back at the end.
Hand it back at the end, and generally the cars are very well prepped, and you can have nearly as much fun. There's also a lot of fun in the road trip as well, and there's other things that we've done or that we haven't done that I would love to do, like Spa, for example. So Spa's only an hour up the road. What a place! When Robert and I did that trip collecting the Amira, it was fantastic as well, because went to Stuttgart and did the Porsche Museum in Mercedes. We went to Hockenheim. Like, we did so
it's not just the track you're going for.
There's so much stuff around there as well. So, I will post the link, because I put nearly everything I'm talking about in an article I wrote for RMS about this when I first went over 6, 7, 8 years ago. And it's all those. If you've seen the Misha Turin videos, he does all the laps. I saw him doing it was a Tesla Model S Plaid, and there's this place called the Flugplatz. It's the fastest part of the circuit, and I think I'm touching 145, 150, and he was doing, in the Model S, was he doing 300 and something K, which is like 180 something. Like, that's just madness. Madness. But what a place. Get yourself over there, Dan Murph. He still have the 350, does he?
I don't know.
But
good car to take over if you did.
Yeah, totally. Next question. Gary 1365 asks, where do you stand on front window tints and peel them off for MOT?
I feel we may have covered this.
Yeah, I think Ross has actually had to nip on, but we know how Ross feels about them. Absolutely.
We've full gangster mode heading down the road as we speak.
And we know how he feels about that as well. Our final question before we wrap this up is Big Pete, the detailer himself. The most surprising car you've ever driven that you expected to like and ended up disliking, and then the reverse, one you thought you would hate and ended up loving. What about that one for yourself, Gary?
That's an easy one. The most surprising car I've ever driven that I thought I would like was the Celica ST185 Carlos Sainz. So I bought this without ever test driving one. It's rally icon. Only heard good things about it. Toyota build, quality, 4-wheel drive, rally
2
engine,
litre turbo, and all the
2 litre
rest.
turbo, yeah. And went over to England, picked it up, and literally within 10 minutes, I think of me heading up the M6, I already knew I hated it. There was no power whatsoever, just gutless, and there was nothing wrong with the car. I had it checked and rolled it and all that there, and it was making its power, but just felt completely dead. It was understeery. Just lacked kind of feedback in the steering. I just couldn't see what made it a good rally car. And I've driven another one since and had the same experience in it, so I don't think I bought a bad one.
Yeah, they're just generally disappointing.
I think I built it up in my head to be more than it was. Obviously when they're rallying Group B or whatever they were used in, they were tuned to the balls, and maybe that's what the car needs, is the boost turned way up. It
needs the Toyota regulation to feeling
a bit of fettling, but
boost fettling.
Yeah, totally standard. Didn't like it. Didn't keep it very long. Just felt like a letdown, and didn't even like kind of the interior and stuff either.
Now that's the ST185 pop-up
headlights, yeah,
for late 90s, isn't it?
And then I bought the later one about a year later. No, that would have been early 90s, like 91, 92, I think.
Yeah.
And then about a year later, I bought the next one, the ST285, and totally different experience. Really liked it. They had a bit more power. I think they were about 260 brake, something like that. But it just felt a more dynamic car on the road as well, and wider arches and stuff, and kind of just preferred it much.
And it's the Sega Rally car too. I just absolutely loved that. the ST185 GT4,
Yeah.
of course,
Yeah.
which is what it was.
And then the one that I thought, I don't know if I've ever thought I would hate a car, because I kind of try and keep an open mind with most cars, because I always find a fault of some kind. But first time I drove an RS Focus, I think I expected it to be worse than it was, because I'd read some interviews and watched some interviews on TV, and they were going on about the, I don't know if you recall this at the time, the torque steer.
Drive you into a hedge,
And
yeah.
Jeremy Clarkson kept going, oh, it's undrivable and all this here, and you can't steer it. And I thought it was brilliant. Took it up the road, loved how it drove. Ended up buying one, loved it. Definitely would like another. It's still one of the best hatches I ever had.
Do you know what? An RS Focus, and I had hummed and hawed again when I was looking for a Yaris replacement. I thought, well, sure, I could go for a third generation Focus RS, the 4-wheel drive version of the narrow body, with the EcoBoost 2.3.
The drift mode stuff and all that.
Yeah, and all that sort of stuff. I thought that sounds great. And then I was reading reviews, they're quite hard and all the rest. And then I never actually got to drive one. I know a guy who has one, and I should have asked him. Although it's one of those things too, I sort of wondered, I might like this and end up buying it or making an offer, But so
they're good cars. I think every single model of RS Focus has been decent, and I think a lot of came down to that very first one that came out when the Focus was originally released to replace the Escort. The Focus itself was just a brilliant platform.
Yeah, well, the Escort was so bad. Yeah.
The Escort was so bad, but if you, I don't know if you remember, even just reviews of the bog standard 1.6, family spec Focus, they were saying how well it handled.
Yep.
Excuse me. Just really, really dynamically well built and well put together. So then when they built a proper fast version, it could only get better. But I think what they did with the first Focus was they tried to take the Focus down the same route as the likes of the 306 and the ZX, as in their hatchbacks, but they're really good handling, jumpable. And Fords hadn't really been that before that.
Yeah, I never actually thought about that's a really good comparison, because the 306, even as a standard car,
that's brilliant.
Where we just lauded as fantastic, and obviously the ZX was the same
even
platform.
a 90 horsepower D turbo, you could have so much fun in it. They were just so chuckable, and the ZX was based on the same platform.
Yeah,
and just down back roads and stuff. Funny, we were chatting about that last question. One of them was just a dream on a back road, because you had so much fun, and you didn't need a lot of power to do it.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. And so that was the appeal of like 306 rallies, and
that's what annoys me now when I see the 306s that are dragging their asses around the ground completely, with no springs in them running, because they're actually such a really good handling car.
Yeah,
that you'd have so much more fun if you kept it in standard height.
Yeah, exactly. I could put proper set up build
and drive
on it or
it
something.
properly.
Yeah.
But they're always decked in the ground. But
yeah. Well, look, we asked Ross before he vanished what was his car that he expected to like and ended up hating it. And it was a A86 twin cam Corolla. He said the enjoyment factor of doing circles was completely wiped out by the fact that he thought it was gutless up the gears.
He's not the first to say that.
Yeah.
And I've driven one and had a different experience. I enjoyed it for what it was. It didn't feel particularly quick compared to modern stuff, but still had a lot of feel.
Yeah.
And it had that kind of analogy feel that you get from 80s cars now, but I still thought they're fun. Like at the end of the day, they're real wheel drive. They're not particularly heavy. You can't really not have fun in it.
The I don't actually have that many cars that I thought I would hate and end up liking, because it's normally the other way around, because I'm sort of generally quite positive about. Generally, I'm thinking, right, something's going to be
eternal optimist.
Yeah, I wouldn't go that far, but yeah, something in and around that. But certainly, I've mentioned it before. But my IS300 that I sold it to Coog on RMS, and he loved it,
finest.
and it was gutless. That 2-litre flat six was just.
You needed the Beams one.
I needed the Yamaha engine car. Yeah, absolutely. I think the Yamaha engine car would have been a totally.
They're about 200 brake, are they?
Yeah, and I think they're high revving.
And
thing.
What was yours?
They're about 200 brake as well.
Really?
But, yeah, but just
I thought they were like 140 or 150.
Or maybe they are only 150.
Maybe that was the problem.
It was gutless. It was gutless. And the best thing about it was that lovely dash cluster, which looked like a chronograph watch.
Yeah.
And obviously the tail lights. But no, it was just so disappointingly slow. It was long geared but short revved, and it was just awful. I really didn't like it.
And which one then did you end up loving that you thought you would hate?
You see, that's the thing. I'm really struggling with that question. I'll maybe have to circle back to it. But
well, I'll give an honourable mention to another one I've just thought of that I thought I would like and hated, and I drove to them, to be sure. 3000 GT Mitsubishi.
Yeah.
Did not enjoy it one bit.
I passed one the other day. Or was it this morning or yesterday?
Loads of road presence, and like they still look kind of cool, but
yeah.
as a driving thing, no, it did nothing for me at all.
They are quite disappointing. Was it a V6 or twin turbo? When you
twin turbo. It's the full fat, but
yeah,
I actually had more fun in a 3-litre non-turbo Supra than the actual full fat GTO or 3000 GT. Like it had both names at one point, but I don't know. They just felt like they weren't really the best thing to drive.
Do you know what? That was back in the days, though, when the manufacturers would just have tried everything was like, right, you have to have V6, twin turbo, 4-wheel drive,
Hi-Caz and Mavic and 4-wheel steer, and they were throwing everything at it.
The Japanese
so many
were
electronics.
were just great, but no.
And then they got on the PlayStations and they calmed down a bit. Yeah.
I tell you what, I drove, and this is a surprise. I remember first time I drove a Mark II Escort, like an RS 1800 or something like that.
Like a road car, not a
and it was
rally day type one.
Aye, but it was like it had been done up a bit.
Aye.
But it was just it was flipping rubbish. I did not like it at all, and I have no doubt like a 300 horse Millington engine rally car would be a totally different. And see those MST recreations that are coming out of Wales. Oh, amazing!
Yeah,
but with the Cosworth. Or I think they're Duratex, maybe.
Like I have no doubt that there's a bit of rose-tinted glasses when we look back at certain cars, and people see them as iconic, and then you actually get into one, and we're so used now to drive modern stuff that it feels slow and lethargic and so on and so forth, and noisy and rattly and all that there. But then at the same time, people who were at a certain age when they came out, that was a new thing to them, and they thought they were brilliant, and maybe still do. But
I thought of one.
Go for it.
And it's very similar actually to your era of Celica, the second generation MR2, right? I remember as a guy on RMS, Chris had a silver one, the Veil side body kit, and only had a turbo. Yes. And there was two things I thought about that. So number one, it was kit, and he had neons, 3-spoke advance, and it had done everything to it. And I thought, number one, that's probably ruined the car, and number two, MR2s just, people were scraping them off walls because they were twitchy and all the rest. And I drove this, and it was refined and torquey and responsive, and drove really straight and really easy to drive. And I was really impressed actually by the. But and there's a couple of guys in RMS have had some lovely examples of those recently, like the GT 16 valve cars and stuff like that, and they're a lovely looking car. Yeah,
and they were snappy, but if you weren't driving it to extremes in wet weather, something like that they were generally, they felt really good in the road, very responsive, and changed direction very quickly and all that. Although I do remember taking a black 2-litre non-turbo one out one day from my dad's, and it went up the hedge. Just took off the side of the road, and it spun around as quick as I could react. The turbo, I'd say, was a handful when it was tuned a bit.
And I've thought of another car that I expected to like. So I, like yourself, big Honda fan. EK4 VTIs and EF VTECs and all the various generations of Civic, DC2 Integra Type R, and then I bought an EP3 Civic bread van. Boy, was I disappointed.
Type R?
Yeah.
Were you?
Yeah, I didn't really. I thought that it was heavy. I thought that the VTEC changeover, compared to getting out of the Integra, was more muted, and the interior was sort of. The seats, wasn't proper Recaro seats as well. It just wasn't the same. It was almost if it was completely different. Maybe it was a completely different design.
Gear change.
It had the
dash mounted kind of gear stick.
Great gearbox.
Not dash mounted, but it was pretty sitting high up.
It had that great 6-speed gearbox. Yeah. That was good. But I thought I didn't totally gel with the K20. Yes, it had more torque, but it didn't have that same fizz factor of the B18 or something like that.
Yeah.
So anyway, good question. I think
very good, and I think we could probably sit here all night about cars we've been passengers in or had a quick drive in, and something will come to mind.
Is that a subtle hint if we need a GTFO? Possibly.
We do have home security.
On that note, remember to like and subscribe. Ask us questions on the forum, and we'll try and answer them for you on RMS. And remember, there's no warranty. This was sold as seen.